Hi and welcome back to our portrait, our doggy portrait, and we're going to continue with the portrait of Bo. We've finished his eyes, or we've done most of his eyes, so we might tweak them a little bit more. And we're just going to move on to his nostril now. So I'm going to identify his two nostrils and do those in Payne's grey, and then the other colour I'm going to use is indigo. Okay, so nostril number 1 coming up. So just around here, so this is just identifying the shadow in that nostril. So that's all I need to do, just that little bit like that. And then on the other side, we can see the inside of that nostril, can't we? So we can see sort of that into that, okay? And then the next thing I'm going to do is just say this is dark here. All doggies have that that little crease in the middle of the noses, don't they? Sometimes, depending on the shading, it's indicated in a dark tone, sometimes in a light tone. In this particular case, it's light. Just depending on how the light's hitting. So I'm just going to push and just identify all the really, really dark bits that I can see. So that's dark. And then we've got a light bit coming. Anything that's light, I'm just leaving. I'm leaving white paper. And then up here with my Payne's grey, like that. And then around here, just going to identify that dark. But it is a lighter tone than a nostril. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to get some indigo. I'm just going to pop, I'm going to say this shine on the end of his nose is white, but I am just going to add a little bit of indigo because I can see a little bit of indigo at the top of that. Just a very light tone of indigo. A little bit there, just on the top of that nostril. And under there, and then this part is a little bit of indigo, and then that is too. Okay. So just a dry brush now, I'm just going to tickle some of these colours out. So I'm just going to move a little bit of that Payne's grey around that I put in, just to soften that off. And I'm going to leave that central bit white, that shine that he's got on his nose. Just remove a little bit of that Payne's grey there. I'm just going to tickle the Payne's grey that we put out initially, I'm just going to move some of that out, just tickling the edge of that, just like I've shown you to do with shadows really. Just soften that edge. So you leave the other edge as a hard edge, you just soften that edge. So it's all about tone. So this little crease in his nose I'm going to indicate with a little bit of indigo. And then that little heart shape that he's got there. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more tone to it just to make it come together a little bit more, because it looks, it doesn't look the same thing, it doesn't look like it's one thing at the moment. So I'm just going to be a bit stronger with my colours now, so I'm just going to add a little bit more light and shade. So all the time just identifying what you can see, what all the different tones that you can see. Try not to think of it as a nostril, just look at it in different tones and try and replicate that, and then at the end, when we're all done, then we try and make it look like a nostril. We can fiddle around with it and change it. But that looks a little bit more unified now. And I can see there's a little bit of a shine right at the end of that nose there, which I've missed. So I'm just going to lift that out before that Payne's grey dries too much. It's just that little bit of shine there. And if you're quick with it, then it will lift out really easily if you've got decent paper. And if you haven't, just lift out and just dab it, and then it should just bring out a bit more. So I can see now that I need a much darker tone on that side of Beau's nose, but I'm going to just go in with indigo rather than going in with Payne's grey, just because I like to add different colours. And I can see that blue, little bit of blue sort of shining there. Soften out that colour there. Okay, so this white that we've got left here is just a bit too strong. So I've got a little bit of my indigo, and almost like a little light wash. I'm just going to fill that in a little bit so it's not quite as strong as it was. So he's got a lovely heart-shaped nose, hasn't he? And now I'm just going to bring up this, I haven't got the shape of that quite right, so I'm just going to extend that nose. That just sort of goes up there actually, his nose. And then just a little bit more Payne's grey down here as we're coming down this side of the nostril and in. There. And then under here as well, as it meets up there. Okay, and I'm just going to soften out some of these colours again because they're just a few hard lines. So just making sure it all looks pretty unified. So it's just a matter of just going gently with it. So you don't have to do too much lifting out. But if you do have to do a bit of lifting out with this, it's not the end of the world because it'll just add to the texture of his nose. So that crease now, I just need to get rid of that as well. I just need a bit more depth of colour down there. How are we doing for time, Lou?
We're on 8 minutes.
Just want that all to be a bit darker up there. And I just want to just darken that off. There. Yeah, that looks about right, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to move up the nose a little bit, just because I don't want to leave that too, I just don't want to leave that like that without blending it up. So this dark patch that he's got up his nose is a lot more matte, it's a lot less shiny. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of Payne's grey, and I'm just going to go in the direction of that fur. So hopefully that will look a little bit more cohesive with the nose now. Then he's got a little bit of shine there, so I'm just going to be careful I'm not going to fill it in too much, so the shine I'm indicating at the moment just by leaving the paper white. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of brown to that as well. And I'm going to add a little bit of raw umber just to make it feel a bit more matte and a bit more solid, but only in the central bit. Just needs a bit more. Just ever so light with your touch, just ever so light with your washes at doing this bit, because I've got a lot of other colours mottled in with this. I'm just being careful. It's all stuff you can come back to and fiddle around with, but if we just get the bones of it done, we can work on it a little bit more. I'm just going to add a little bit more depth of colour on this side of his nose as well. You can see it just needs just a little bit more shading. Just whisper that out, that little bit of a shine. Okay, so that is his nose done, and we could maybe do one ear if we've got a bit of time left, have we, Lou?
We're on nearly 12 minutes.
Oh, we could definitely get an ear done then. Okay, so let's get one ear done. So I'm just going to do this ear, and we have got some really beautiful colours there. We've got some burnt umbers, and I can see burnt sienna, and I can see some yellow ochre, and I can see Payne's grey. So I'm going to start with the Payne's grey, and I'm just going to identify, it's far too much pigment, I'm just going to identify the shape first of all and the wisps of fur coming up, like so. Okay, so that's just my wash. Okay, so but just gone in the direction of all the fur that Beau's got on his ear. And then I'm just going to go, I can see quite a lot of raw umber. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of raw umber over the top of that. And I am using a bigger brush now so I can hold a bit more paint. So I'm on a size 8, but a size 6 would do. So this is just a bit of raw umber I'm putting in now. Just flicking up, just getting that fur. And we're a lot darker around the outside of his ears. So I'm just going to go in with some burnt umber now. I can see it's just too light at the moment, so I'm going to add some, I think I'm going to add some blue to it, some indigo, just to flatten off that colour a bit more. Okay. Just pop a little bit of burnt, I can see some very, very dark inside there, so I'm just going to put some bit of Payne's grey in there, just to darken off in there, a little bit here, and then I'm just going to get some indigo. Just add a bit of indigo to that. And it'll just mix really nicely with the brown. Just make it a little bit darker, but without darkening it too much like the Payne's grey would. So that's looking nice, nice and furry. And as I'm doing that, all the colours are blending with each other and looking a little bit fur-like. So now I'm just going to get a little bit of yellow ochre. And I'm just going to, these little wispy bits he's got, I'm just going to put those in. And if some of it blends and some of it runs out, that's all well and good. A little bit of yellow ochre coming out there. Little wispy bits. The lovely long fur he's got coming out of his ears. little velvety ears, and then I'm going to put some burnt sienna in for these bits here. And it's all bleeding in together, that's all well and good, and let it be, try not to fiddle with it too much. I'm just going to get a little bit more Payne's grey, just as they're coming down here. Just a little bit of dark inside that ear. But if I'd have put that on before, it would have just muddied, you know, when I was flicking out, it would have just muddied that paint a bit too much. So I think that's going to be okay. Just going to add a little bit of yellow ochre, just here, just for when I'm ready to start my next colours. I'm trying not to fiddle too much, but I do want the colours to blend. They weren't quite blending there. I'm just going to add a little bit more yellow ochre as we're flicking down the side of his head. And that's it. And I'm just going to do this ear. Just coming down a little bit, just the same again, just a little bit of that raw umber, just coming down that ear. And I'm adding a little bit of indigo to that, just to dirty that up a bit, just to get a bit of that tone in, darker tone. And maybe a little bit of burnt umber. So all those colours bleeding in together are creating this fur look. Just going to grab a little bit more yellow ochre because I just want that wisp, that light wisp, which I'll be able to lift out later if I feel it's too heavy, because yellow ochre is a very, very strong colour. I just want that a bit more wispy there and here, just his fur, just wispy. Right, I'm going to leave that be, and it may not look right straight away, but as it dries, believe me, it will look really, really beautiful. Okay, so I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.